Rivera, and this is your Neurodive Corner. This is our little community where neurodivergent people and the amazing people that care for them can come together and, just kind of like build community and love on each other and start growing, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about trauma. Yes, I know we've been on this topic for a little bit, but there's a reason my camera is acting ridiculous today. I'm sorry. So there's a reason why we're going to talk about trauma today. So as we have spoken before, trauma can have several responses. The most common are the fight or flight, but there's also the fight, flight, fawn, and I forget what's the other one, but it'll come to me maybe throughout the life. This is a pretty late life, and my brain is a little bit of mush. But I did want to talk to you guys, and the definition of silent trauma is going to be in the video description. But pretty much what it boils down to is silent trauma is when an individual has experienced trauma, usually developmental trauma like neglect or failure to thrive, things like that. And they grow with that trauma following them throughout their lives. And it doesn't always express itself in the PTSD responses that we usually look for. It's the other way around, and that's why it's called a silent trauma. So the silent trauma is characteristics are there had to be some brokenness at the very early childhood where the child felt that their needs were not being met. And this is actually a an approach and something that has been studied and has been misdiagnosed as autism because children that do not grow with healthy attachments from day one, and I know I'm gonna hear it in the comments. Bear with me, and if it worked for your child, good for you. If not, you might want to start reading into the silent trauma. But that whole little Dr. Spock, let them soothe themselves approach, that's trauma. Just so you know, that's abuse. That's neglect, because the the infant is the most vulnerable creature in the planet. For the first year of its life is completely dependent on somebody else. That is not common in nature. So if you early on are sending the messages that you are not going to meet this person's needs, they are going to start internalizing that trauma. And that results in the following. You're going to see children that are old souls. You're going to see children that are like me. I have to include myself on this one because I do suffer quiet trauma, and it made me hyper independent. It made me question my low it made me question my self-worth. It made me question my self-esteem. And I've always been a mediator. I've always been a people pleaser because it's easy for me, because that was always the reaction. That was always the best outcome, was to fawn over somebody and just mediate and de-escalate and negotiate the difficult parts. My brother Eli also went through this in school, but in his case, it was more geared towards bullying because people didn't quite grasp his personality. So that started creating very red flags that a lot of us ignore and will never attach to trauma. For example, children that are expressing headaches, constant common headaches, um, children that are constantly having stomach issues out of nowhere, children that are doing anything and everything possible to not go to school, any other physical symptom that's intractable to any disease can be a response to trauma. So, um, that is the thing with silent trauma, is that the red flags look so different. You might have a hyper independent child that is high achieving, gifted and talented, all of the things. and they might be living and suffering through this trauma. So always check in with your children. Always make space to have the honest conversations, the uncomfortable ones too, and the true ones, because you want your kids to learn the truth from somebody that is actually gonna put it into context and is gonna be able to support them through their own journey. You don't want your children learning these things or suffering in silence and you're not noticing the red flags. So again, if you want more information in terms of trauma or silent trauma, let me know. Put it in the comments. Please feel free to do all the good things. Hit the likes, hit the subscribe, smash the hearts. All of that helps. If your heart feels like you would like to help a social worker continue to grow her community, my Snapchat, not Snapchat, I'm sorry, my Cash App is going to be in the video description, as well as the definition of silent and quiet trauma. As usual, this has been a pleasure. Stay healthy, stay safe, help each other, lift each other up, and don't let compassion die. Okay? Take care, divers. Bye.